Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the Atlas Gunworks Aries. Aries comes in two different sizes. I went with like the commander size of 4.25. Just getting that out of the way so you know specifically which Aries we are looking at. We're looking at the smaller, kind of more concealed carry focused, I guess. Generally, if it was kind of like marketed for duty carry or for competition carry, you'd go with like a 5-inch gun. But this is the shorter one. It does have the integral comping because that is an option, the porting I should say. That's something I wanted to pursue. Now I am doing a 2,000 round review process on this gun that I paid for with my own money, just so we get that out of the way. The one thing I will not be doing in the review process is drop testing. Why? Because I did that with the Atlas Athena, and this is the exact same optic mounting system. So no need to needlessly kind of test the same exact optic mounting system. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. I know some people aren't going to like that, but let's be realistic. It's the same optic mounting system. Do you want to watch the same review, the same thing over and over and over again? So if you want to check out the optic system specifically, go check out my video on the Atlas Gunworks Athena. This is the Aries. First things first, this is not a cheap handgun. With options, these can get up there at high $5,000, low $6,000 range, which most people are already like, nope. And I'm right there with you. I wanted to check it out because I wanted to be like, what could I possibly get from this gun that I wouldn't get with a similar size profile? Even though I don't do comparisons for video purposes, it's in the brain. So I'm trying to see, and don't get me wrong, I love my Atlas Gunworks Athena. I love the trigger, I love the performance, I love the optic system, I love the magazines, I love the grip system. I don't get a whole lot of that with this gun because of the commander's length. I don't have a flared mag well. I don't have the replaceable grip panels like you get on a lot of their other guns. But I do have their craftsmanship. I do have their optic system. I do have the way that they do their backup sights. And finally, I've got a ported 2011 or double stack 1911 or what are you going to call it, which I'm super excited about because I like ported or I like comped. I generally don't like a gun if it doesn't have either of those. Generally, there are exceptions, of course, because I don't like recoil. And the craftsmanship, like you can just hear it, you can just feel it. It's got your forward cocking serrations, your rear cocking serrations. Getting specifically into features, is a 4.25 bull barrel, 6 inches of sight radius. Empty, it's going to weigh 30 ounces. I know some people are worried about the weight when compared to like a Staccato P or something like that. Trigger breaks right around 3 pounds. That's what they quote. That's what I feel. That's a little light for a carry gun for some people, especially in a single action only type gun. But it does have a manual safety, which is going to be on if you're carrying it right. So not really that big of a deal. When you purchase one, it does come with the optic plate of your choice, provided they have an optic plate that supports the optic that you choose, if that makes any sense. 2,000 round reviews. First thing, getting it zeroed. First thing experience getting it zeroed is I'm taken back to the same accuracy that I got from the Atlas Athena. See the same accuracy on the Atlas Aries. Trigger is a little bit heavier in this gun than it is in my Atlas Athena, and I appreciate that a lot. The only thing I initially identified that I did not like right off the bat is how protruded the magazine release is. One of the problems with 2011, especially me being a left-handed shooter, primarily left-handed shooter, is your options for reversible magazine releases are pretty much non-existent. Even though there are things out there that work, they don't work that well on every gun. So I generally stay away from them. I just manipulate with my index finger. But the problem for us lefties, and this is a left-handed problem, but it could be a right-handed problem too, depending on the holster you use, is that may protrude just far enough for a concealed carry, and this is where I noticed it, that if you bind it, it can hit the magazine release. If you press up against something, it can hit the magazine release. So if this is going to be a concealed carry gun, you'd want to take that down a little bit. You would want to replace it with something that sits a little bit lower in the gun. That would be my advice. Of course, you don't have to take it, but that's something I would recommend. But during the review process, I ran it from concealment. I also ran it from a duty holster. But just because, you know, it's more of a concealed carry type gun doesn't mean you can't run it for duty purposes. However, we're coming back to that price point, right? A lot of guys are not going to spend that kind of money on a duty gun. Not everybody, but I'm sure there are some people out there that would definitely be willing to do it if the gun's performance is worth it. And this is the argument we usually get into, or the debate that leads to an argument that we usually get into when it comes to this style of gun, is why the extra money? Part of it is the aesthetics, part of it is the controls, part of it is the trigger, part of it is the performance, part of it is the accuracy. There's a bunch of different little parts that all add up to why this gun is preferred for certain people. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be for everybody. I do like the 2011 style guns. That's why I keep getting them. That's why I keep hunting for the one that's going to fit the role the best and still provide the greatest amount of value. Having a light rail on this, being able to throw optics or optics ready. In fact, it doesn't even come with an irons only plate. At least I didn't find one in the package. I don't believe that they sell it that way, at least with the optic version. So I went ahead and threw an RMR. I'm running an RMR 09 on there, and I'm running the Surefire Turbo because I'm doing a review on that as well. 2 birds, 1 stone kind of situation. And just went through the whole 2,000 round process. The first 500 rounds, getting it zeroed, then start running it through shooting. I ran 115, 124, 124 plus P. I also just randomly threw some 9 minor in there. Ran it just fine. This gun just runs. And the comp system, the porting, I should say, is... I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it. Perfect. The way that they ported this barrel, the relationship, the fitment, but also the sizing of the ports provides an excellent use of gas just prior to uncorking of the round to give me a good deal of recoil mitigation. And you can see it on video how little this muzzle is rising. There's no such thing as a flat shooting gun. All guns are going to have recoil. That's just physics. We're not strong enough to overcome that. So we want to get as little muzzle rise as possible, or if the muzzle does rise greatly, we want it to be forced down violently by whatever recoil mitigation system we're using or a grip technique, ideally a combination of both. This gun, even if you don't grip it right, is still going to give you a little bit of recoil mitigation. If you grip it correctly, even one-handed shooting, it feels like, when I shoot this thing one-handed, I kind of almost feel like I have 2 hands on the gun. That's why I'm using the word perfect. And I know it's not perfect. I'm sure there'd be a way to make it better. But already in the first 500 rounds, I'm a happy boy. That brings us to our burn down, which is going to give me another 500 rounds of experience running on that porting system to see, and this is one of the concerns I did have. These guns generally get dirtier faster because a lot of that gas ends up inside the internal mechanisms of the gun versus being vented out the crown when you shoot the bullet. I shoot a Glock 17C a lot, and I actually have to clean it more often than I have to clean any other gun because of that. That gas relationship that you get going back inside the slide, inside the internals or whatever. And even though I did pre-oil this thing, took it down, did my function safety checks, all that stuff, reassembled it, got ready to do the video, I may throw some oil on it throughout the review process, but I didn't want to, I wanted to take it as far as I could to see if there's gonna be a malfunction. That was kind of my plan. I was just gonna keep shooting it with the initial oiling, and that was it. So it brings us to our burn down, which is 500 rounds as quickly as possible to see if that 500 rounds will identify problems you wouldn't notice with the same 500 rounds over a much longer period of time. So 45 minutes versus 45 days, you know, hours, weeks, months, years. Here's your 500 round burn down. Happily, mission accomplished. That brings us to 1,000 rounds fired. And the 500 round burn down, I didn't experience any hiccups. There were a couple magazines that failed to lock back. That was a brand relationship, or it could have been a gripping issue or whatever. This is something that does occasionally happen on 2011s. But my Atlas specific mags function fine. The STI mags function fine. I got 2 MBXs in there. They're probably pretty tired at this point. And a couple of my Gen 1 STIs. Reliability is becoming a bit of an issue. I'm pretty sure it was magazine related because it wasn't a problem that really happened after that. And those magazines pretty much just exist for the burn down. One of the problems, and this is a hotly debated point, is you want your magazines to sit flush inside these type of guns so the magazine doesn't over-insert and cause eventual damage to the internals of the firearm, because they operate differently than a lot of the other guns that are out there. So it comes with a flush 15 round mag, but just the one. And there's no mag well to help you butt up like you'll see on Staccatos and some of the other 2011s that are out there, or even the extended magazines, their base pad will sit up against the mag well so there's a stop there. Doesn't have that. So I'm just ramming these things in there, and sometimes I'm in quite a hurry. And that can create issues long-term in reliability, which is something I am worried about. And I don't want to have to just run 15-round mags in this. I would like to regularly shoot 17s and the occasional 20 in it. But I need to find base pads that are going to give me fitness, or I'm going to have to throw a magwell on it. And I don't want to throw a magwell on it. The whole reason I bought it is because I didn't plan on carrying it in a duty carry condition. I wanted it for concealed carry purposes. And I don't like to conceal carry with a magwell. Also, if I got a magwell on a gun, I don't want to only run flush mags. So I've got all kinds of problems with this right here. Other than that, happy with that 15-round mag. I feel like a grip this size, I should get more than 15 rounds, but whatever. I do need mags that are going to give me that insertion limitation, so I'm not over inserting and potentially causing damage to the internals of my gun. A lot of people are going to bring up, oh, you can't shoot comps under ported guns and comp guns. Can't shoot them at night. You absolutely can. I've been doing it, I mean, forever. Yes, there's muzzle flash. It happens in between your sight pictures. And even running super hot crap ammo, it's not really a big deal. And if you're running a weapon light, you really don't even notice it. If you're running good quality duty ammunition, which has a lower flash powder, you don't notice the flame nearly as much. So while it looks cool on video to see excessive orange fireballs, you don't want that. Unless you're trying to, you know, like make cool videos and take cool pictures and stuff like that. It's not something I want in my sight picture. It gets quite annoying. This gun, it vents in almost like a V. So you're looking through that, which is a good way to do your porting. And it's only 2 ports versus 4, 6, 8, 10. And there's a bunch of different ways to approach porting. I think their approach works well. I've already said I used the word perfect, and I still stand by that, at least for my personal opinion. So while I obviously was going to do a lot of light shooting with this gun, because I'm also using it as the primary host for reviewing the X300 Turbo. Not the only host, but the primary host. So I used it for the burn down. Obviously, you just saw that. And be using it for a lot of the low light shooting as well. And this thing runs great. I'm not losing my sight picture. The muzzle flash is completely reasonable. Daytime, nighttime. It's not the boogeyman that people make it out to be. Honestly, if somebody tells you something like that, please just verify it. Somebody says, oh, you can't shoot comp guns under night vision. You ever seen a video of somebody like, I don't know, me or other guys? I literally have a whole video on it. Shooting comp guns at night. We do it all the time. Don't take a lot of this nonsense as face value. If somebody tells you you can't use the slide release or the magazine release in a gunfight because of stress, bro, you don't get to a gun being empty unless you've used a whole bunch of single-digit manipulations to begin with under stress. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but verify before you trust. This is how we're going to kill a lot of these nonsensical FUD myths. And biggest one being, oh, you can't use those for self-defense. Shooting from retention, that's kind of a concern. And that's something that somebody's going to bring up in the comment section. Yeah, I shot it from retention. It's not comfortable. It feels like you get hit with a little bit of hot sand. If I have to shoot a handgun from retention, the last thing I'm worried about is catching just a little bit of heat and spalling and hot gases. I'm more worried about, how did I allow myself to find a situation where I had to shoot a person from so close I don't get to fully extend and aim the gun? That's my biggest concern. So contextually, yes, this might not be the best gun to use from the cool guy retention shooting. The thing is, there's nothing cool about retention shooting. If you get to a point where you have to shoot someone from retention, you either are the most unlucky person ever, or you made a series of mistakes and had a very late identification on a threat. So you should think more about what you did wrong than if this thing is going to hurt you under your little necky neck. Final verdict on the Atlas Aries. Well, let me show you how accurate it is. Here's my 5-round confirmation group, 124 grain gold dot, shot from 25 yards, back supported. Again, my opinion. Ergonomics, excellent. Trigger, excellent. Controls, excellent. I have to bring that up because as a left-handed shooter, usually this right side of gun paddle, for lack of a better term, I'm sure there's an actual terminology for it, is usually an afterthought, and it binds for us left-handed people. So the gun's set up for right-handed release, and that one's added as an afterthought. Everything is excellent. I've got slim line paddles, so they're not super exposed. Gripping texture is excellent. Machine work is excellent. Accuracy is excellent. Performance over 2,000 rounds has been excellent. The only thing I don't care for, and it's easily fixed, is how protruded or how tactical that magazine release is. And I would like to have bigger magazine options that will fit flush or have a insertion limitation. Full light rail, put all your accessories on it. Optic system is great. The only thing that would keep everyone from running out and buying one of these is the price. And it's not cheap. But you do get, a lot of times, what you pay for. And is this gun worth the high $5,000 to low $6,000 price range? That's up to you. I like it a lot. If you're already an Atlas fan and you are curious about the Aries and your budget can support it, get this gun. This thing is awesome. I think I'm getting close to being done buying 2011s. It's an expensive hobby, and I don't want to make a dime off this YouTube thing, so I'm gonna have to figure something out to start selling blood or something like that, because getting expensive. But yeah, Atlas Aries, excellent gun. If you can afford it, get it. If you've got some guns laying around you haven't shot in 6 months, sell those, buy this. I'm Eric with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.